Okada, the Young Bucks, and Jack Perry against Bryan Danielson, FTR, and Darby Allin. Anarchy in the arena with Justin Roberts announcing, "Welcome to the shit show. This is Anarchy in the arena." And we get the entrances, and maybe this was them just, we got to get to this match because Danielson and FTR just jump them during the entrance. They come out through the crowd and they're attacking them, and then Darby's music plays, and out he comes wearing a special face mask for his broken nose with tacks over top of this nose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe for yeah.
This is U.S. healthcare. You can.
Yeah. They offer this in Shoppers Drug Mart. Yeah,
of course. So Darby's music is playing, and Matt stops the music. He wants their new theme song to start playing. So we get their Succession knockoff until Danielson yells, "Turn this shit off!" And Danielson calls for the greatest music in the history of pro wrestling as Europe begins to play. And thus this became maybe the most costly main event in history, because Final Countdown begins. Whoever came up with this was amazing. For awesome. Like 4 minutes, you got Final Countdown playing, and the crescendo hit with Darby hitting the coffin drop off the balcony. I thought these 4 minutes were just like magic. I thought it was, whatever this cost, it was worth it, because I thought this was awesome. They could have done another 10 minutes of this, and this audience, they were going insane during this portion of the match, and really, it just sparked them for the rest. This was a crazy match. We're talking all these hours into the match, and you cannot say that this crowd was affected from the length of this show when they were on their feet going crazy for this.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they had done this in prior Anarchies in the arena with a Wild Thing, and I don't know if there were other matches where they did something similar, but like it's the New Jack, gimmick where like it just kind of adds to the feeling of chaos. Like you're not really supposed to be focusing on any sort of single individual at this point in the match. Like you're just kind of supposed to absorb the entire vibe of everything going on around you at once. There's music going on that it's Europe. There's Darby Allin climbing a balcony and delivering coffin drops. Like the announcers aren't able to keep track of it all, and it's all to the benefit of this like completely unorganized, beautiful mess that you're just kind of being presented with. That made it all feel very special to start off.
Yeah. How costly do you think it would be to get Natural Born Killers for a future Anarchy in the arena? If you want,
probably not as much as Europe.
Yeah, I would think Europe is the high end for them. Matt eventually cuts this off, stating it cost $200,000 per play, and they end the music, and this crowd was livid. They were so angry that they had stopped this, and they're chanting, "We want music." But this match was just too insane for them to be too hung up about the loss of Europe. But it was like, this was going so well that I thought this crowd was going to just be so upset about the music going away. Okada lifted up a street sign that read Rainmaker Drive, and he was so proud of this street sign. Then we go to the back, and Jack Perry and Darby have fought their way to the back, and Jack Perry takes an unintended cold plunge into this giant metal container of drinks with ice. And then Jack Perry buries Darby into a pile of trash, and Jack Perry commandeers a bus and rides over this trash.
I don't know if he commandeered it, John. This looked like it was his bus because it said Scapegoat on the
You're right. This was the official Jack Perry bus that he travels with now. So this is the tour bus.
And printed Scapegoat on the top so that you knew it was his
just in case he gets lost at the mall and he's looking for it. He doesn't have the...
Where did I park?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's the one with Scapegoat.
Mine A6. Oh, I'm Scapegoat. That's me. So you're right. This was his own custom bus. Drives over Darby. So we are led to believe that he is driven over top of a lifeless Darby. And then we cut to Jack Perry unconscious behind the wheel, so that he has knocked himself out from this. And that's the end of Darby Allin and Jack Perry. They had a good run. They're done.
It's, a real bus, real glass.
We're real fire.
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the end of that chapter for now. And so we cut
what is wrestling? I ask you, John. Is it
well,
a man driving a bus? a
it's
fucking pile?
it's about selling a bus, running you over, and then it's stumbling to the ring to meet Kazuchika Okada for your comeback as Darby is alive.
I can't believe Okada was in this match. Unbelievable.
Danielson has been busted open from chairs, and he's fighting the Bucks on the poker chips, which ends with a TK driver to Danielson, with Nick leaping off the stage onto a poker chip, which that alone was nuts and will be just one of many things forgotten about this match. But Jack Perry has recovered from his unconsciousness and grabs Tony Khan from the gorilla position and goes to bring him out. And there was like this time standing still moment where we didn't know where Perry and Khan had gone. We're just waiting for anyone to come out. And then we see Darby with his flamethrower coming out one tunnel. Jack Perry comes out the other tunnel with Tony Khan. And so Jack Perry is drenched, and we had seen him thrown into the water. But then are we to also believe that after the crash, he was also covered in gasoline?
I don't know if you're supposed to think that that was gasoline.
Because he ignited, like he ignited.
Well, you could just light on fire even without gasoline, I guess. With the
I feel the
flamethrower shot
the
at you.
idea was that this car crash, he had gasoline on him.
That's also possible. You know, you don't know what happens in.
This is how deep I imagine they were thinking this. So Jack Perry is lit on fire, his lower body, and they just let this guy roast until they finally get extinguishers. This would not be the end of.
What is wrestling, John? Is it a man lighting somebody else on fire with flamethrowers?
Well, they had to do this. I would say this is a satisfying utilization of the flamethrower of what you had to incorporate this in some way.
This was fucking awesome, dude. I love the way they set all this up, okay? First of all, with the flamethrower on Wednesday, okay, to the sort of like the theater of having to have Jack Perry dunked into the ice bath so that he has an excuse for getting wet, to the bus commandeering, and then the staged bus accident, making reference to the Darby Allin bus accident so that you could have them separated this way. And then to being Darby locked up behind the Cody Vader, and then to having Tony Khan involved so that Darby could have an excuse to use a flamethrower on Jack Perry. I thought it was all orchestrated beautifully to lead to this moment.
This was like, for what it was, like really like well done, laid out for.
It was the best flamethrower spot I've ever seen in a wrestling match. Yeah,
easily. Yes, this beats what, Triple H shooting Kane in the face with one.
That's not a flamethrower, is it?
The Bucks proceed to remove Darby's mask, and there is a coffin drop to Okada, but the Bucks make a save, and then this buckle descends from the rafters, and they hog-tie Darby Allin. This is like our Age of the Fall callback, and they hang this guy, but not before Dax shows up, and Matt connects with an exploding chair to Dax Harwood, an exploding chair. Okada then puts on a sleeve full of tacks to hit a Rainmaker to cash, and then Okada gets some limited edition Young Bucks Reebok pumps with tacks on them, and the Bucks put on the tacks. They have elevated Darby so he is hanging from the ceiling over top the ring, and they start super kicking him in the face in his broken nose. Danielson returns, and he's fighting off the Bucks, and the crowd starts chanting, "Please help Darby," who has been hanging upside down for a good 3-4 minutes at this point, blood rushing to his head. The announcers are trying to make sense of why he hasn't been lowered. Their answer is the production crew might be scared to defy the orders of the Young Bucks, so they are just going to let this man expire over top of this ring as this match continues. Danielson hits a running Busaiku knee with a chair to Nick. He is stopped by an Okada Rainmaker, then an EVP trigger. And as Danielson is listening to the chants of "Please help Darby," Danielson's final bit of life is reaching for Darby when Jack Perry returns and hits his running knee to Danielson and pins Bryan in 30 minutes to end Anarchy in the Arena 3.
let's just simmer it.
I think this visual is everything you need to know. This explains
man.
plenty.
So at this point, Anarchy in the Arena inspires just, I think, expectations of spectacle, creativity, and complete madness and chaos. And they delivered, I think, all those things. I mean, I was exhausted. I was exhausted anyway already by the end of this match. We're talking like 5.5 hours into the show. But for them to deliver a match where clearly there were no shackles other than the ones on Darby Allin's feet of what they could devise and spend money on creating, they put everything into this one. And I would say for the most part, almost everything came off really well and worked to like their imagination. It was the type of match where you just kept waiting for what they were going to, what they've created next, what surprise they were going to introduce next, whether it was, I don't know, the bus or the pumps with the thumbtacks on it, or like Darby Allin hanging, or Darby Allin with the flamethrower, or Jack Perry getting lit on fire, or an exploding set of chairs, or Tony Khan's involvement. Every time, like, they just had a million things that they were going to stack one on top of the other to make you surprised, and it just created this feeling of you continuing to wait and not being able to expect what was coming next. And it's very exciting and it's very special that they managed to, I think, continue to create that feeling for several years now with these sort of matches. So I was very impressed. I was certainly satisfied, and I definitely think this lived up to the billing and the price tag of admission.
I thought this was for what this was. It was spectacular. It was insane. I thought that this show was like, I thought the last four matches, I was very, very satisfied with these last four matches from the barbed wire cage onward. I thought all four of these matches, I was really, they to me were all the high points of this show. I'd throw in Ospreay and Roderick Strong there too. Plus you got like a really big return in MJF. So I would state that certainly the triple main event idea. I know the Cage and Swerve, it was, for some maybe sandwiched in there, but I thought they really held their own in a really tough spot for a match that you were trying to sell a challenger that was a tough sell in terms of somebody that was not just your transitional challenger of the month. But yeah, this final 30 minutes was total insanity, and that's what this crowd wanted. And listen, this crowd, they were on their feet in this main event 5+ hours into this show. So I think you like the last 2 hours of this show, I thought were like excellent.
Yes. Just that sentence alone, I think, is
the last 2 hours of this show.
The last 2 out of the 5.5 hours is really good. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when you just kind of look at the quality of some of the matches, including Copeland versus Malachi Black, I would also put like Deeb versus Tony Storm up there as like a match I also really enjoyed. It's value for money that I think Tony Khan is going for and that he delivers. Now, is it the type of value for money that you want to consume all in one sitting? To be a part of the conversation, I guess you kind of have to, but if somebody decided to kind of like, split their viewing and decide to watch this one in parts, I also wouldn't blame them. It was overall a very good match that I think continues to maintain the high caliber of AEW pay-per-views, with really maybe one of the only criticisms being how much time it demands of you for one entire sitting.
It would be my thought, and I'm not looking for AEW to expand to 2 nights of pay-per-views, although please, I really don't think people should be shocked if AEW looks to do that at some point, if they're incentivized financially to do that type of thing. But in this current model, honestly, I think you could take like literally 5 matches in the middle of this pay-per-view, spread them out over television, and you're still delivering a kick-ass 3.5 hour pay-per-view with a ton of big stars that I think are selling the exact amount of tickets that might even look more attractive on paper from something that's a more just concise, big show feel of, 7-6 big matches. And you get a Moxley Takeshita on television. You get a Orange Cassidy Trent with an angle on television as well. But these are the way they're doing these pay-per-views, and they're kind of, this is par for the course of what you're going to get from these AEW shows.